Previously, we calculated the IRR on a flat purchase at about 9.6% over the 5-year horizon. What would happen if Mr. Fleming expressed as a negative or positive holding period return, and will be very different from the yield to maturity? Assuming Mr. Fleming sells the property at £1,973,805 at the end of the second year, let's calculate the holding period return. For simplicity, the rent collected over the 2 years is not reinvested. As we can see from the figure on the screen, a purchase price of £1,879,815 and a selling price of £1,973,805 leads to a capital gain or loss of 5%. To this we need to add the monthly rent, which over this time period leads to a total rent collected of £114,360, so the yield on the rent given the purchase price is 6.1%. If we add these two components together, we end up with a holding period return which is 5% plus 6.1%, or 11.1%. We can develop earlier example further to apply and illustrate the concept of the internal rate of return. Consider the example on the screen. Here we continue to assume the same purchase price as before, but now we have total rent payments of £57,180 in year 1 and rent payments and a resale price of £2,030,986 in year 2. From these cash flows, we can calculate the internal rate of return. It turns out to be 5.48% per year. Compare this to the holding period return of 11.1%. The earlier example raises the question, how is the yield to maturity related to the holding period return? The yield to maturity can be thought of as the internal rate of return of a bond, in the case where we hold it until maturity. Instead, the holding period return is the return we get from an asset by holding it for a generic period of time, say 2 years. This return includes any income generated by the investment, like the coupon payments in the case of a bond, and any capital gains or losses in the value of the asset. This section has introduced the concept of holding period return, which includes gains from capital appreciation and from income generated while holding the investment. The following interaction focuses on bonds. It plots the price of the 10-year UK gilt and allows us to decide when to invest in this instrument and when to cash out by adjusting the 2 toggles on the slider. Once our decision is made, the interaction calculates the holding period return and decomposes it into 2 components that I just mentioned. It is important to note that even if we are recording a loss from a depreciation on the actual price of the gilt, we might have collected enough coupons in the meantime to offset this loss and have a positive overall return on our investment. We can also tweak the coupon rate and see how the coupon yield and therefore the overall holding period return is affected.